impact. Check. I think it does work. It does take some. Let's see. I think something's strange. There is a loop back, I think. Check. Okay. Maybe. Yeah, there's something that's obviously I have quite a complicated setup, and it's hard to reproduce it. It looks like there's a huge amount of compression here. I'm not using any filter. Let me check on the computer in which I'm doing the audio mixing. 1 second. Check 1, 2, check. Check. How about this? A little better? It looks still like it's super compressed. Yeah. Let me check. Okay. I've actually removed the compressor now. It looks like the noise floor is super high. But maybe it's better to understand me. Yeah, it looks like there's a super high noise floor. Let's see if I can find another driver. Check. 1, 2. So should be going in with line A, but I'm not seeing anything here. Check. It does impact. Whoa. It does impact a lot. Way too much. Check. I think that looks like it's way too loud. Oh, well, it was good. Actually, hold on. Control personalize ads. Too high on the OBS side. Okay. Check 1, 2. This is better. Still looks like it's super compressed, but tell me if it's better. right. Yeah. I mean, I do use a hardware compressor, but it's not set. I mean, it's the same that I use on my other streaming setup. And now I've removed the compressor on the other end. Let's see. I'll try to pass through instead of going through Ableton Live. Okay, so, nothing. Nothing. Now there is, right? But let me know if it's better. Still compressed. It could be that, that NixOS is actually, or that the alts are technical support. Yeah, I really appreciate you helping out. Let's see. Could ALSA by default be compressed? Advanced audio properties. No. Audio settings. I suppose actually to help troubleshoot, I could plug in my headphones on the output of the sound card. I'm going to need to go and fish behind my desk, but that should make things a little bit easier to troubleshoot. Check 1, 2. It's not working. I suppose I could try and put the headset. It looks like the sound card for my VR headset is actually on, so I could try that. Check 1, 2. Check, but it doesn't look like there's any. I would need to monitor probably here. Not here. Here, no. In the. Hold on, advanced audio properties. Monitor. Check 1, 2. I probably need to set up an audio output here. Desktop audio. advanced. Monitoring device. Yeah, it just doesn't capture anything. It doesn't find audio devices. Yeah. And let's see. Okay, properties. Check. Okay, so I'm now using my GoPro's microphone, which looking at the signal, it looks like it's actually healthier, even though it's probably not as clear as when I use my proper sound setup, but no compression now. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we'll try with this for a bit. And maybe I can even move it closer to my face. Yeah, right. All those options. But yeah, GoPro is actually a really good piece of hardware. Okay, I'll put it right here. Sorry for the noise. So I can remove my VR headset, which is going to be so much more comfortable. And well, I won't hear myself, and there won't be any music either. But hey, that's better. At least there's sound. So totally DIY, and that's yeah, we did it. And mouse battery low. So sometimes it's the mouse when this says this, and sometimes it's actually the keyboard. And sometimes it's just simply imagining things. That's also quite possible. And let's see. You feel sluggish? Well, like there's it's -8 Celsius. No, hold on. That's what it is during the day, but now night has fallen. Yeah, it's -8. So, and there's like a foot of snow or something outside here. So it's, yeah, it's pretty intense. So, yeah, it looks like it's the wireless keyboard that's actually without power. So we can try to find it some power. Maybe with this. And with, I suppose, actually, not this. All right, yeah, that looks like the right thing. Power. No, it's not the right thing. Okay. Is it still -1 over there? Wow. Yeah. That's really cold. Yeah, cold definitely impacts human functioning.
for sure. Right. Do you have snow? Yeah, imagine. Okay, so we have two options ahead of us. One is to try and get my second graphics card to work, which is going to be obviously a challenge. But if we don't do that, then we can't really test the GPU programming stuff that I wanted to do, because that depends on the NVIDIA backend. So I think we have to sort out this NVIDIA problem. The thing, though, is that this will mean restarting the computer. So this will be a dotted stream, right? Or a dashed stream, like a dashed line. But what we can do is try and learn about Nix in the meantime. So I am going to actually take the stream manager in its own window, if I can do that. Can I do that? Yes, I can. And then maybe I can even, let's see, can I make it go in? I guess I'll keep it here. I think that makes sense for now, especially if I want to see the chat. And all right, so there were a few attempts from me here. Right, NVIDIA GPU requires no mode set. Oh, C++ programming. Nice. Yeah, you know, that's probably something I'll do on stream at some point. I'll probably try and learn some modern C++. But that time is not today. Okay, so someone here, I've seen this setting mentioned several times, no mode set, and I haven't tried that. So it sounds like something interesting to do. And it could be that that we could do this without restarting. But yeah, I think that's something that I followed actually, and it didn't work. Except that I didn't boot with no mode set. But it seems like this proposes to switch to proprietary NVIDIA driver during the install. I have these in my config. Yeah, so that's supposed to be done with the live CD or USB. And then if you want it installed in the system, you should add a line above to the generated NixOS configuration. Yeah, that's fine, but well, I suppose I haven't tried no mode set, so that's maybe some of the main thing. Regarding no mode set, my understanding is that the kernel mode settings is setting the correct display resolution when starting the kernel, instead of leaving it entirely to Xorg. I assume this is what makes the ArcTTY find the correct resolution, but it seems like this isn't the case with NixOS. Is there a parameter somewhere to enable KMS, or is it not supported in NixOS? Oh boy. After a bit of reading on the Arch Wiki, I found that all drivers but NVIDIA automatically enables mod setting. To enable it with an NVIDIA driver, you could add NVIDIA DRM mod set equal 1 to the kernel parameters. Oh, it turns out that there's an expression to do that. Hardware NVIDIA mod setting enable. Oh, okay, I see. But no. Oh boy, none of that seems to work. Well, that's not encouraging. Oh boy. Okay, so, I mean, the fact that it doesn't work for that person doesn't mean that it's not going to work for us, I suppose. But it's not very encouraging. What's up with this issue? It doesn't exist. Okay. GDM we'll leave aside for now. Wayland is also too ambitious because we can't even get the basic of the NVIDIA driver work. yeah. It still happens, right? It still happens quite a lot. But yeah. Okay, maybe we want to reread the NVIDIA page on the NixOS wiki. Determine the appropriate driver version for your card. So I remember going to check this out, and first of all, it's not really a legacy CPU that I have. Titan XP is not listed in there. So yeah. The thing that I've noticed with NixOS is that it's just full of people who use laptops, and so there's almost nothing about desktop computers. So it could be that we're just kind of in a bit of a hole there. Really old people, YouTube has plus 301 views things. I don't remember that. Maybe I'm just really old, but I wasn't hooked into YouTube when that was happening. What is that? Yeah, I wonder if it comes a little bit from. I think it's just a byproduct of the decimal system, really. The view counter will go to plus 301. Like from 0 to plus 301. Pick the correct NVIDIA version if needed. Actual reference in the next package repository. Right, okay. So let's check this out. So this is on master. So this is very relevant. But this points to this line 12. It has deprecated driver, and I don't see any, like the link is pick the correct NVIDIA version, but that reference goes basically kind of nowhere. There is this mod setting enable though. Let's go check this out. Oh, they froze at 301. Oh boy. When was that? 2012? Really old people from 8 years ago? What? Oh boy. Yeah, that's funny. What is 301 is what is a permanent redirect, I think, in HTTP status, no? Or is it 302? Yeah, 301 is a permanent redirect. I got that right. And 302 is a temporary redirect, right? Oh no, it just found. So is it, what is the temporary redirect? Multiple choice. Move permanently. 308, permanent redirect. Oh, right. Don't make sense. Well, I got 301 right, but that was pretty much it, right? Yeah, define a very long time one. Come on. You're way younger than me, so I was actually on the internet. I bet maybe you weren't born. I was touching I think in 1992 must have been the first time I went on the internet at the university computer using Mosaic. That was old school. Mosaic, which is why Mozilla is called Mozilla, by the way. It's Mosaic Killer. Mosaic browser. Yeah, that was my first internet experience. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yep. And I look at me. I'm on Twitch doing with the youngsters, playing new stuff, trying to keep up. All right. Let's see. Rename options. Optimus Prime. I think Optimus Prime thing doesn't make sense. I think it's just for laptop stuff. But there's so much about NVIDIA on the NixOS forums that is about this specifically, because of the fact that laptops these days, they have both like an onboard GPU, discrete graphics card, plus an external, or not external, but third-party graphics card. Youngsters, you feel insulted, really, right? You call me ancient history, and now you feel insulted because I say you're a youngster. Optimus Prime, I know, right? Optimus, NVIDIA Prime, they call it. It's what do you want? It's just a Transformers joke. Ancient history has value. Yeah, and youngsters have energy and will build the world of tomorrow, right? So it's all good. But ancient history usually, it has value, but I think these days ancient history is more like just sort of a bit like going to the how would you say? Yeah, like gladiators and Mongol hordes and Babylonian dictators of the time, and I don't think we consider that they have direct value to our modern society. I think in fact, it's even rare that we consider that they have lessons that are worthy of us to even necessarily remember, because we think that they just don't apply. But I suppose some cultures might be more, more linked and keep their ancient cultures more alive. But it's rare these days. Build the world of tomorrow. Yeah, sure. Destroy the world of tomorrow. It's also in your hands. Although I suppose you could say that we are all inheriting something, a bit of a difficult situation. But hey, we only have one planet, only have one world, so you have to do something about it. Yes, indeed. Yeah, that's true. And I was gonna say, I don't have my Twitch set up, so people can't see your chat online. But yeah, they can see your chat online because I'm broadcasting my only screen right now, so it's all good. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the thing though with repeating history is that that has happened many times before. It seems like we don't have great mechanisms to prevent ourselves to escape this doom-like scenario of repeating history. And to be fair, it's hard for individuals, and so it's also makes sense that it's also hard for collectives. Yes, indeed, we are very much bound by human nature. We keep pushing those boundaries, but we shouldn't forget the center while we push on the edge. Okay, so Optimus is supposed to be mostly useful for laptops. So, I don't like this, like mostly useful for laptop. What do you mean mostly useful for laptop? Because am I like in this weird case where it's actually helpful for me? Non-Optimus mode, you need an NXM card. So if we look at this, there's I'm actually having trouble deciding. I think this is an H1. Okay, hold on. Let's maybe. Okay, I don't even know how to. Okay, right. Okay, here non-Optimus. So the non-Optimus mode and Optimus and just non-NixOS case. So basically, we're either in the non-Optimus mode or in the Optimus mode. That's what you would believe from from the documentation, right? But I don't really trust this because so in non-optimus mode, then we need an MXM card. What is an MXM card? I mean, I think when I did LSPCI and it did show it does work. It does show my card. Let's even do grep VGA, and it does show the Titan XP. Actually, what is that? Trinidad? Yeah, okay. So that's the AMD card, and that's the Titan XP. So it shows that, and plus, in fact, yeah, I also have an embedded, like a discrete CPU on the motherboard, which maybe doesn't make things simpler, but don't know this stuff one bit. Spending childhood playing web games. Yeah, well, I also spent a lot of my childhood playing games, and later in life, you have all the, even though most of our educational system just wants us to be hyper specialized. I personally have always sort of resisted that. I think because I was educated in a way that made me admire, all the like the wisdom of connecting things and having broad knowledge, like the kind of the Renaissance ideal, like people like Leonardo da Vinci and so on. But that didn't mean that I wasn't nerdy and mathy when I was young. I was super nerdy and mathy. But then, and I didn't follow anything on history, didn't follow anything in literature. But then later on, when the time was right for me to be interested in these things, then I took interest and then spent the time to try and understand some of it, or at least enough to enjoy it, right? To enjoy the product of human genius in a lot more domains than just the domains of science. Yeah, but yeah, I also spent like so much time playing games. For me, it was like Civilization, like the early, like Civ 1, on a Windows 3.1 machine, I think. So that was back in the days. Okay, so it seems from this that we have an MXM, or an output providing card, a graphics card in a desktop computer and some laptops. It pretty much seems like that's what we have. But I've never heard the term MXM before, so I want to know what that means. Okay. A mobile PCI Express module? Dude, no. Why is NixOS World completely into this laptop thing? So if you install NixOS, then you're supposed to have either a laptop or a laptop, and that's it. Otherwise, you don't exist. Graphics card in desktop computer. It does mention desktop computer here, but yeah. I think it's all of these hackers, of which I guess I am a bit of a part of, but who use laptops. An interconnect standard for GPUs in laptops using PCI Express. Yeah. So it's really about laptops. So, but when they say MXM, I suppose they mean all these hackers, yeah, youngsters and hackers and all those people that I feel more connected to than anyone else, to be honest. So it's really me, except that because I'm an old fart, I can't really say that it's me, and because I'm not because I don't have a laptop, I can't say that I'm a hacker, apparently. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's. They also have to work out dealing with this. Dealing with GNOME, which that makes me a fake hacker, really, because it's true. I use OS X and I can go around with keyboard shortcuts in OS X, but I'm a little bit lost when it comes to Linux desktop technology. I've been on Linux server technology since for more than 20 years, but Linux desktop, I never gave in. I can use 10 keyboard. Yeah. Say I'm in. Okay, I'm in. All right, MXM. You need an MXM card for non-Optimus mode. I mean, okay. Follow NVIDIA graphics card section in official manual. Right. Yeah, I remember being there. In case of laptop, you may also need to use the BIOS option to select which card to use for the internal display. Right. Okay. So supposedly we are now in the official manual, which I suppose is meant to be better curated than the wiki, which makes total sense. That's a proper wiki, right? And I guess if I was nice, I would submit edits for this for desktop users. But maybe not until I work out my problem. Okay, so there's a proprietary NVIDIA driver section in here. Very good. And can I... okay, not what I wanted. Okay, might be a bit small, but yeah, I was thinking maybe I would see some sidebar, but no sidebar. Okay, so I suppose I can. Yeah, and this the window manager is definitely not as good as OS X, I can say. But I think that's why I was looking at Wayland but we're not there yet because that's going to take some time to get to. Okay, so let's look a little bit higher up because I already did some of the things suggested here and didn't work, so I suppose I want some context. And all of this is in the X Windows system, but the truth is that when I tried to boot only with the NVIDIA card and a monitor plugged into it, it simply wouldn't even show the BIOS stuff. So it wasn't able to detect it as a standard VGA controller for some reason. And that's a bit, and I suppose that maybe that would be a more natural way to solve this. But that I couldn't do this online really because I would need to maybe just reboot umpteen time until I get the NVIDIA card to be detected at boot time. Though the fact that it's visible in the PCI devices here is also encouraging. It could be that then, we don't care about boot. We just do it on the fly after it's booted. So I suppose that's a better thing to try now. But then if I fail, then I need to go back to maybe a lower level. Okay. And I'm definitely not a specialist in anything drivers, and I'm new to NixOS. So anyway. And also X Windows is I don't know much about X Windows either. So yeah. Come on, bro. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. You're right. Optimism. Okay. Let's drink a bit. Okay. So I suppose we have X server enabled, but we shall check. Yes, we do. And then we have GDM and GNOME 3. Oh, hold on 1 second. What? NVIDIA. Oh, is that what I've done most recently? I suppose maybe it is. Hold on. Or there's a mistake and I've put it in several places. Yeah, no, I think that was my last try. But there's something also that I don't understand. Oh, hey, Gantoran. Hey, we are doing some NixOS stuff. Look at us. We are in a kind of a downgraded, sort of emergency setup. I'm probably gonna have a neck problem after this stream because I have to have my head constantly turned toward my screen. I suppose I could try to arrange it a little bit differently, but yeah, we're trying to set things up properly with NixOS and my second graphic card, and trying to learn about NixOS at the same time. So this is one thing maybe Countron that you might know actually. Yeah, well, it's going well. I'm not succeeding in getting my NVIDIA card to be properly detected. I mean, it's visible by LSPCI, but basically the thing with NixOS is that it seems like a lot of the users use laptops, and so there's not a lot of documentations that are dedicated to desktop issues with NVIDIA graphics cards, for instance, or like a dual GPU setup. We're starting to get a little bit too specific, and there's really not a lot of support that I could see, or at least I shouldn't say support because I haven't even asked anyone to help out yet on any of the official channels. Which is maybe something that I could do. I suppose I could set up IRC and go on an NixOS channel and ask around. Because one thing with Nix though is that they're super smart people, so they might actually be able to help me out. But I did have a question, Counter, and if you know this. Right now, for instance, I have my NixOS configuration file. Well, I know that you did mention that you've been using Nix, but not so much NixOS, so maybe you won't know. But it seems that yeah, I'm not even sure how to ask. I think my question is, because you can do NixOS rebuild and switch, and this will rebuild the system based on the configuration.nix, and then switch so that next time you reboot, you boot up from that new configuration. But what if I, for instance, now I modify my configuration.nix, or I boot even in like an older version of the system, then how can I tell the difference between my configuration.nix and the environment that I'm actually running now? That's something that I don't know, and I'd like to know. So maybe I will try and search it while maybe you answer. NixOS, how do I know the diff between my configuration.nix and my system? Generation configuration. We'll see previous generation configuration.nix. I want to understand why I changed my configuration.nix. There isn't a way to see what the previous configuration was so I can see the difference. Or is there a way? Keeping configuration.nix under version control. I see. System copy, system configuration. Nox updates from the Nox package. Able to report the differences between any two store paths. Huh. Okay. Nox. Small tool that makes the use of Nix package manager easier. Nox query to search for Nix package. The underlying NixEnv invocation is cached to make the search faster. Yeah, that's right. Configuration Nix is system configuration. But when you do NixOS rebuild switch, then it reads that file and then rebuild all your system based on it. But now imagine I boot with an old version. Then I suppose then in that case, my configuration.nix is not reverted back. It's just my system that's reverted back. So how do I know what's the difference between the system that I reverted back to and the current configuration.nix? That's the thing that I don't know, and that's the thing that I think is the same question that this guy was asking there. But apparently maybe we can use it to see changes. So let's give it a shot. Config Nix will change too. Right. Well, yeah, I'm not so sure, but you might be right. Let's see what Nox gives us. So, for instance, Nox Firefox. What does that say? Refresh the cache. Nix DefExpert folder. Okay, what is that? Yes, I do. That has a manifest on it. Okay. This one doesn't have anything on it, but maybe the root one does. Manifest. It does, and it says something like, let's get this guy here. Maybe make it a little bit bigger and drink a bit. Our path for, let's see what's in there. That's probably the root for the system. Okay, yeah, no, don't do that. Oh, really? You're going to play tricks like this on me when I copy? Oh, dude. I don't even know how to copy in what is that? Symlinks related to the environment that is installed. Yeah, it looks like it. Actually, that even looks like NixOS, the NixOS install itself, right? Yeah, I think this is actually the version of the NixOS release, and then this particular symlink, then I think that's related to my to the generation of the configuration, right? The one that I'm running now. If I do this, see, okay, but that's not what I was expecting at all. Okay, that's the only file in there. That's why. Well, we should start with this. Well, don't know. Let's see. So Nox gave me what? Gave me a bunch of things that are Firefox related. Okay, fine. Well, that works at least. So very well. What else can we do? Nox review helps you find what has changed in Nix packages and build change package so that you're sure they're not broken. There are 3 modes. Nox review WIP compares Nix package in the current working directory against a commit. Nox updates. Why is everything being installed? Okay, that looks quite interesting, but Yeah, I'm not sure this is really what we needed. No, doesn't look like it really. Oh, it is a Nox update, so it is that. Okay, well, let's try Nox update, I suppose. Let's see what. Uh, okay, packages to install. I don't need that. Nox updates. There's help. Old path, new path. I see. Yeah, it counts helping out. Okay, old path, new path. So that's interesting because indeed, probably in the grub configuration, we should be able to see actually nothing. Menu, or maybe it's in NixOS then. I suppose that actually there is some grub things in NixOS, but yeah, I suppose. Oh, so it could be that the defer blah blah. Actually, let's look at the definition for defer blah blah. Nix def expert. So it sounds like definition of expressions. So something like the evaluation, or I shouldn't do this here. I will lose the chat. So yeah, it sounds like from the name, it sounds like it would be the definition of expression. So maybe the evaluation of things. What is this? It's not clear what man nix from man nixenv how nix def expert is used. Oh, okay, man nixenv. Let's do man nixenv. See if that's tells us something. Def expert specifies the Nix expression designated below as the active Nix expression used by the install, upgrade, and query available operation to obtain derivations. The default is /Nix def expert. Manipulate or query Nix user environments. So when we do -i, like we just did, we install something in the environment. Let's see if .nix def expert. Let's see if something else got installed. No, it's just channels, right? This manifest thing. Still empty, this one, still empty. And root one. The root one has NixOS in it. Hold on, did I miss this in the other? No, I didn't. Okay, yeah, so the root one has the manifest and the NixOS. And I think the manifest must point. Okay, let's see where this points. Yeah, I think this is where this is what the manifest pointed to. Yeah, so it's also symlinking to that, and then if we go and see what's in it, then I imagine that that's actually the GitHub repo for NixOS. That's so this is source code for NixOS, which would be somewhere like probably NixOS, I would imagine. Yeah. Oh no, that's archived, so not that. It's been merged into, okay, the NixOS subdirectory. And let's see. Release really small. Doesn't look like that's exactly it. Oh, well, it might be just the Nix packages, actually. Yeah, it's the Nix packages. Defo. Let's convince ourselves by looking at the README. and blah blah blah, manuals, community, other project repository, manuals, community, other project repository. Yeah, okay, so that's a thing, I suppose. Also maybe default expressions, maybe that's what it means. Let's look again at the documentation. How some people find the behavior utterly confusing. Some people are still very confused. And then -s, Nix packages, blah. And I only need to use the -f after that. What? Oh, right. NixEnv with -f Nix packages to sidestep the issue. Huh. Sidestep which issue? Okay. It's obvious what happens. It contains only .nix files, but it's somewhat hard to guess how subdirectories are handled. The truth is that the whole tree is traversed, and all the expressions in it are combined into a top-level set. Ah, right. Okay. Which would explain that the whole channels thing, it's just Nix packages. So you can set up more channels to grab packages from other parts of the world, but generally that's where the source for all the things that are being asked come from, including the OS itself. If a directory is a valid expression, i.e. has default Nix, its expressions will be added to the set, otherwise it will be traversed recursively. Names of intermediate directories are completely ignored, i.e. do not take any part in a TTR path. Manifest.nix is recursively ignored. Okay. So maybe, but I think this relates to the packages that we get from elsewhere. I don't think it relates to neither how we configure them with the configuration.nix and then how they're instantiated or built into the Nix store, which from what I understand is really where stuff hits the road, where for instance, I would imagine that's something that I haven't actually really looked at. What's the mount look like? Nothing clear. What about the DF? Well, yeah, so if I do like which uname, for instance, like something pretty systemy, right? .nix profile. Right, so .nix profile I think is when I install something in my user profile, right? So like I think when I do nixenv-i, I install in my user profile, don't I? So in theory, I should see Nox in there, if I understand correctly. Then Nox, yeah. Okay, so I do understand correctly. Yay, I get something right. Okay, okay, let's see. So uname is in /run/current system. I think /run is a special thing under NixOS. Right. Ah, check this out. That's where things are happening. Booted system and current system. That's the really interesting bit. So I booted in version 2936, which is an older version, because the latest version actually wouldn't boot because I made a change in. I think, in fact, that's why I'm asking all these questions, because I think that the change I made in the configuration.nix to ask for the NVIDIA X11 drivers, I think that completely broke my install, and so I had to load up a previous version. Unless it was this, but see, I don't even remember because it was a while back and I'm new to this. Okay, so I think this is clearer now because indeed I booted on an early version, and now if I did the rebuild switch, it would make sense that it would skip like a bunch of numbers in between the generations here, because I suspect that the configuration.nix before I did rebuild switch was something like 2946 or maybe 45. And then when I rebuild switch, then it creates a new generation and it switches me into the system. So this all sort of makes sense to me. But let's look a little bit more closely at what this actually is. So if I go into current system, what's in there? So I think that that's a bit like a ch root. I think that's a bit like, I think the underlying mechanism is ch root, if I'm not mistaken, to move from one system to a completely new system. Yeah, and so this includes even the initRD, right? So the stuff between the handover between the bootloader and the operating system. So, right, let's see whether etc actually what's in there, because then you would expect that, etc doesn't have an NixOS in it, only has a Nix. That's interesting. So that fits what I'm intuiting here, which is that etc NixOS is special. etc NixOS is what about just etc? It has a lot of things that go to static. Oh, there's a NixOS. Oh, it's just a kind of a flag, a zero byte file. So I think that's when a package gets installed with NixDev or with the configuration of Nix, you will put the content of it in .nix profile. So for instance, if package expression will result in a folder in the Nix store that has a bin folder with executable, it will be added to your Nix profile, which is getting stored for you. Yeah, right. Which is visible here. And but I think I don't know if you're right with the configuration.nix. I think what I see in my .nix profile is only stuff I install in this session, whereas some of the stuff that get installed, there's other possibilities. I think the per user profile is one, but I think I haven't used that, so I think this should be empty. Yeah, and then there's the system binary, and I think that the current system SW bin and default bin, I think this is where, or even maybe run wrappers bin, this is where the configuration.nix gets built. And I think probably the first and foremost one is this one. Yep, that's pretty much where all the stuff is. Whereas I would suspect that there's not much in here. Yeah. Oh no, there is a little bit. Actually, it looks like there's some interesting stuff in here. Huh. Stuff that feel like systemd like and very systemy, like it's interesting. I wonder where this wrapper thing comes from. Yeah, it's fun, right? Exploring a Linux distro is kind of fun. I'm, the distro I spent most time with is Debian, and I mean, if you know a little bit of Linux, then it carries over. But obviously, since the package system is completely different, I mean, there's a few things here that are fairly novel, let's say, to be applied system-wide. But yeah, ping. And why is ping? Yeah, GNOME. So you know what? It could be that this wrapper thing, maybe it's related to the GUI somehow. Let's try and find something about this on the interwebs. Try and understand where that comes from. Oh yeah, well that's nice of you, but what is blah? Wrapper. The wrapper can in turn be found in user path doesn't running in the console. Wrapper, shell wrapper, exec wrapper. Wrapper. There's a security wrappers which you can use to create a wrapper for binary. That's it. That I'm pretty sure that must be it. All of these, that's what they have in common. They're all important security-wise. Changing the shell, like launching daemons, and they're all root permission. And managing passwords, sudo. So all of these are all security wrappers. So wrappers is really a security mechanism somehow. Let's see. Okay, wrappers, security wrappers. This option allows the ownership and permission of the setuid wrappers for specific programs to be overridden from the default setuid root, but not setgid root. Right. Not evening NixOS. Yeah, by not doing evening NixOS. Well, yeah. I mean, if it motivates you, you motivated me to install it. So you know, maybe you get motivated to install it too. Especially after I slay all the dragons and solve all the problems, then you'll be like, hey, I want some of that as well. Yeah, not having NixOS. Got it. Yes, one. Thank you. You're right. I'm going to take a proper little 5-minute break here. And let's see, can I even, I don't even have a break scene. So let's create a little break scene. How about that? Break. Okay, I'll say goodbye before going to the break scene. And I don't have any text to put on. Maybe I'll copy. Okay, I'm on the break. Okay, I'm back. I don't need to put my headphones on because my headphones don't work. Okay, so security wrappers, right? So that's pretty cool. And those are the default ones. Hardening. Ping, send mail. Did you have send mail? I don't remember seeing send mail. No, but we don't have send mail installed, so I suppose that's why. But we did see ping and user stuff. Yeah, fuser mount, bin new mount. Cool, very cool, very cool. And so, and everyone can add to that, I suppose. So, yeah, that's nice. And what else did we have in our path? Yeah, we had Nix var, Nix profile default bin. How about that? Where is that from? Yeah, that doesn't exist. And oh, there are profiles though. Oh, check this out. System links. I would bet you. Oh yeah, look at this. Those are my generations, right? I think. Or maybe not. Yes, a system that controls top to bottom with Nix would be very cool. Controls daemons. Yeah. Technically, I have my macOS define a config Nix. Get added to the default Nix packages in a defined environment for me that install any app I need. Yeah, right. Yeah, you know what? I haven't even taken that step yet on my Mac, but I definitely want to do that. It sounds like a really cool thing to do. But it is not as small, for example, with services that need to be installed or app like Docker that need more permission. Right. So I have a kind of internal conflict. Should I have the easy to use GUI for Mac from NixOS? Yeah, I totally get you. Well, I'm not. You can argue I'm not doing it with my main machine, right? I don't feel ready to do it with my main machine. My laptop I wouldn't do it, and I also have another my older desktop is still on macOS, and plus I have my dual boot with Windows here, so that I can still be functional. 2 streams out of 3, I can still have something that I have a lot of safeguards that allow me to open up this window and play, right? But yeah, you're right. I think maybe those are my generations, but I'm surprised that this seems like the same number and the same. Well, I guess it's a hash, but it's not the same store though. So. But I wonder whether that's something that we can pass to Nox update. Let's try. Hold on. It was in Nix var, Nix profiles. Here, and we'll say, so system must be the current system, and it's system 19. And so let's look what the difference with the same thing, but system 18 link is going to be. Let's see if we blow up. Hey, we see things, but hold on. Was it in this order or in the other order? Old and new or new and old? I forgot. Nox updates. It was old and new, so I definitely did the reverse. Yeah, good that I checked. So old would be that guy. Sec profiles. Profiles and user environment mechanism for different users have different configuration. Yeah, right. So profiles are more like system level, like at home and in travel, and then user environment users are more for users, obviously. Yeah, not that Nix profile on top of Nix var Nix profiles, right? So those are user profile. I know all of these are called user environments. Ah, right. Huh. But ours aren't called default, they're called system in there. Right? How come? Nix var Nix profile. This we're talking about the same thing, Nix var Nix profile. So maybe it has changed. But this is about Nix. This is not about NixOS. So maybe in NixOS there's a superset which is system. Whereas well, there's also a per user here. Ah, yeah, right. Like the per user. Ah, yeah. Look, the per user has something that looks a bit like what I had in my Nix defer. So channels and then channels one link, which is what my environment. Yeah, with that, I suppose that same manifest that we saw in Nix defer. Yeah, the same empty manifest. So yeah, so it's all like a bunch of symlinks. But I suppose that this allows to have different users that depend on different set of machine configuration and keep them completely isolated, like prevent any user from overriding anything because everything is immutable, right? So everything is it's a immutable persistent data structure, right? Any change is actually just adding a link to the change so that everyone pointing to the old thing, nothing gets mutated. You never have something that changes underneath you. So those are, yeah, okay. You will want to type blah. Every time you want to run Subversion, of course, you could set up the path environment variable to include the bin directory of every package we want to use. Not very convenient. Solution Nix uses it to create directory trees of symlinks to activated packages. They are called user environments, and they are packages themselves. Right, so it means that what would show up inside the Varnix profiles bin would be different per user. Yeah, this one is for the default profile. Nix var Nix profiles default. Nix var Nix profile. Hold on. Oh yeah, right. That is no default though. Is the thing, right? Because we haven't installed anything in default yet. There's no default profile that all users would use. And here, yeah, user environment contains a symlink and so on. Yeah, I think I get this bit. Oh, right, switch generation. What is? Oh, right. So there's a concept of generation also in Nix, not just in NixOS. I think it's a multi-user installation. I mean, yeah, I set up a root account and then I created a user account for myself. Okay, there is a list generation thing. Okay, so that fits this idea that we have two of these numbers, like 2947 and 2936. And I think this corresponds to these two. Let's see if there's a more verbose thing. List. Oh, there is a verbose thing, but what just happened? Oh, my web. What? That is so strange. I think did it crash? My web browser, or maybe I typed I used a keyboard shortcut without realizing, and I closed it. It's possible. Yeah. that's not the idiom here. Right, because it's journal CTL, systemd things. Client bug, GDM session, process core dump, Epiphany desktop. Yeah, okay, so it did crash. Okay, so I'm not completely crazy, and I know how to do basic things in this system, so that's also nice. Except that means that I've lost my chat. But look, I've got Firefox installed. Ha! Didn't expect. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, and nobody expects that. In fact, I had a hidden browser. Except that I'm going to need to log in and do all these things, and then I'm going to need to check that it's not displaying my password, and it's not, so it's all good. And then I'm going to do two-factor auth. If I find my phone, well, hackers don't hack my account while I do this. And hackers, you shouldn't be able to. Well, I still got to go into the break thing. Because I suppose that there must be some advanced way to extract the token by looking at the ones that are used, since they are time based. And here we go. You can still see, yes, because OBS didn't crash. Epiphany did. But for some reason, there we go. Okay, awesome. It didn't pass. It didn't pass to break. Damn. So you did see my not break. Did I? Oh boy. Okay, well, it won't be the first time that what I stream gets lost in the ether. Thanks for mentioning it, Kantoran. Good intuition that I was actually on break, unbeknownst to me. So I did make progress while on the fake break. I was going through stuff. How did I come across this? Right. I picked something, a configuration that I know that I did fairly recently, right? Which is this one on DRI support 32-bit. And I used the search.nixos.org/options thing that I came across the other time, and put in the option, and it was like, oh, here, I know this option. It gives me a description, and it even gives me the where it's declared in Nix packages. And so I can go there, and then I started looking at it. I'm like, okay, what is this thing? And then look at it at the bottom. It seems to be saying something like, okay, I'm going to enable some config. I'm going to check whether you're on 886-64 because it only makes sense on a 64-bit system. And I inferred that those assertions there are kind of a guide or precondition to execute then the configuration changes that come later. And then I inferred that this systemd.tmp file will have something to do with what I was seeing in the system link that I was looking at. And at first I thought, okay, maybe that stuff actually is related to systemd here. And so I went into systemd, but in fact systemd really, it's all of the binary stuff for systemd itself. So I thought, okay, actually maybe it's in system. And I thought, well, yeah, and it turns out that it's not. It's actually in etc. Right. And then I went into tmp files d because I'm like, yeah, you know what? Probably this tmp file thing must be in tmp files d. And then I went into NixOS in there, and turns out that my instincts are right, because this is exactly the line or the lines that get added by this configuration thingy. So I'm pretty happy. I'm thinking that I'm starting to understand a bit what's happening. But what I was about to do when I realized that I was still on break, where you helped me realize I was still on break, was to check this. Well, actually, I was quite surprised to see it activated in the System 1 version, because I would have expected that in the System 1 would be a really old one. Oh no, but there is a difference. Check this out. This has run OpenGL, and then R run OpenGL driver 32. This has L plus run OpenGL driver 32 plus a whole thing at the back. So this is all very good. So I should be, now I think I can tell that the generation at which I added this was earlier than I thought, or there we go, 14. And you know what? I can believe that, especially if each nixenv invocation is actually also creating a system. But actually, in fact, maybe even if it isn't, I think probably those system links, they're probably created at each NixOS rebuild invocation, and we're going to check that. NixOS rebuild. NixOS rebuild the command you run to bring your system's configuration in line with etc NixOS configuration Nix. What happens behind the scene is the following. Let's just jump a little bit to the boot system profile is one of your machine booted on. It's symlinked at nixvar nix profile system. Yeah. And doesn't say anything about those links, but I suppose that must be implied by just the general way that Nix does things with his persistent link structure. So system configuration is evaluated. Typically means evaluating this in the context of a set of packages, yes. So the package is the one pointed to in the Nix path variable. How is that so? And here is the .nix def expr. Yep. I'm not sure this is a little bit strange. Like, I suppose there's two different things. There's path and then value keys, key value pairs. Okay. I mean, this makes a lot of sense. Nix packages, I suppose, make a lot of sense, although they seem to be quite buried. I'm surprised to see them buried so. But all right, no, they're there. So, okay. And I think they're also in channels, right? But okay, I think we can skip that. When you go into Nix REPL, yeah, remember you teaching me that Nix REPL, Nix packages thing. We load the Nix packages into the Nix REPL. Yeah, absolutely. I remember that. And so I'm curious actually about why this syntax is a little bit cryptic to me. I don't know if it's interpreted to anything specific in Nix. It must be a Nix expression, right? Is there a Nix eval? Well, actually, if I do Nix REPL, it's that also tripped me a bunch of times. If I do this, does it mean something? Yeah, it does mean something. And it means actually exactly what we were looking at. And we are back. All right. So what was I saying? I'll go for another 10 minutes and then I will rest. Right. So I was pretty happy about myself for finding two of the special keywords there and right away, and then the third one. I wonder there's other ones. OS. What is there a help thing here? Help. Oh, column blah. Oh, I see. Oh. So you mean if I do config? No, maybe nix.config. That's a thing, right? No. What if I just do Nix? What if I just do NixOS? That's supposed to be a variable, right? Bind an expression to a variable. B will build. Then install the result into current profile. I see. So column I is a bit like nixenv-i, I suppose. And load an Nix expression and add it to scope, right? And evaluate and print expression recursively. Oh. So you can probably get something a little bit crazy if you do this. I don't know. How about this? All right, because it's supposed to be a variable. I could. Lists. No, that loads it. Right. That would be the equivalent of doing of putting it in a command line, right? Yeah. It's the same message, right? Yeah. I recognize it. Yeah, that's cool. Right, and I think though hardware is not loaded when you do that. So that's something that I couldn't quite understand, like one of the differences between, because you know at C NixOS configuration you have things like boot and hardware, right? And I was like, where are these coming from? It could be config or pkgs, I guess. What does triple dot means? All these questions. Config dot hardware. Okay, maybe we load. How about we load config? No. How about we load hardware? No. How about we load Nix packages? And then do config. Still no. Just config. Oh, just config. That's something. And just packages. Also, whoa! I think that's the thing I want to be careful about. That's where I'm going to be building all things, I think. yeah. I think that's the that's when I break the world. Nix packages eval to Nix set properties that have derivations. I'll just unbox each of the properties of the set to be in the scope of this repo that you open. Uh-huh. Not here. Yep. Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. And so the magic is that this this bracket thing is just it's just a link to this file, and it actually needs this thing. So it seems like maybe it's faster to do Nix packages. Maybe. Okay, so these are, yeah, that's just a map, or how do you call it? Yes, yeah, a set of key value pairs. So it has this, and so when I did the packages, I suppose that that's where all of the packages are, because that's what you do, that's in scope for when you need to do something like loading Vim or Firefox, right? Yeah, with packages. That's whatever is in the with packages scope then gets access to all that stuff. But then Nix packages.config. Oh, there is a Nix packages.config. But so config is in scope, yeah. But so hold on, is that the same config? Allow unfree is supposed to be so what if, how come I can't do config? Doesn't want to do that. Can I do load config? Or maybe I need to eval. Let's see. Add attribute from resulting set to scope. So a config. Yeah. And it would be nice if you told me which you added. But when you load in a Nix folder, not a file, it will try to search for default.nix in the folder. Right, which explained the behavior of like something I was reading about, like this recursing through the tree. Yeah, that makes sense. Reload all files, evaluate and print expression. Maybe pconfig would be good then. Pconfig. Right, so that's the same as config. Yeah, kinda, without the illusion there. So config.warnings. Yeah, okay. So it means that Nix packages dash. Yeah, I suppose that this is in, but what about this? So that doesn't exist. But it exists here. So maybe that's in config, but then where does config come from? That's what I'd like to know. How do I get the config that it's in? That is the config, and I suppose networking and services. I suppose that all of these actually are coming from config, in fact. So yeah. So I'm not sure how that works. I hope I didn't break anything by launching packages here. Let's take a look at our system. Yeah, our system is still 19, so we haven't visibly broken the system. Although I suppose I should also take a look at the per user stuff. What was this? Channel 3. Yeah, that sounds fine, I think. Per user, except that I'm not root. Yeah, no, that seems like it hasn't messed up. You won't break anything because you just eval the derivation. It does not build any of them. Right. So that's the difference between eval and build. And yeah, I'm going to specify B in order to do something, whereas if I do if I just put them on the command line, or if I do P, then it just evals and prints. So it might be doing some, it might be parsing the language and going through branches and whatnot, but in the end, it'll just be a value. It won't be the clear separation. It's like the pure part of Nix, right? It's only building a value, and it does the mutation only when you ask it to. Yeah. It's like that's the classical difference, or the way that a pure functional program manages side effects. Okay, so that's all right. So I have learned about that. And then what? So yeah, we were looking at what happens when you do NixOS rebuild. And so packages are downloaded, built, including Nix itself. That's why you see two building, downloading the sections. That's interesting. It doesn't have the column as a separation. I wonder why. That's a strange little difference there. Is it because of the shell I use? I mean, what? 0, right? I don't know. Maybe it is because of the shell. Okay. Packages are downloaded and built. Right, so that's the same division we were talking about. This is eval, and then this is build. And then after build, a system profile is created. Directory is in the Nix store, and so I think that is the system profile store path could look something like blah. Okay, and so I think this is what we've been looking at for a bit now. It's these guys are system profiles, and I think that's correct. NixOS system blah, yeah, because it's NixOS here because my machine is called NixOS, and so their machine is called Asbesto, which is why it's NixOS system Asbesto, and we have NixOS system NixOS. And so this is indeed our system profile store path, and it encapsulates a snapshot of the system state, system-wide binaries. We saw that kernel options, and that's what part of what we were looking at. Right, and let's look at the Nox updates again. Difference between, let's look at something interesting that we know is a change, like between 13 and 14, right? Because that's where we know that there was OpenGL driver difference. Ta-da! Amazing. Okay, great. So I think we know how to basically diff generations. And that is fantastic, because now, since I don't remember what I did, because I did a lot of it sort of a bit like in a daze, now I get to know those things. Except, like, why is it so... That's interesting. That was super fast for the previous one. So maybe because, look at this. I think that this was an actual OS update somehow. Like maybe, hold on, where are we? So etc pam nix bash. Yeah, I suspect that this version. Oh, it removed 2310. And does it install? Seems to be removed. 2310. Oh. Oh, and Nix 2.4 prev pre. So it's installing Nix 2.4 here, I think. And then a whole bunch of other system changes. That's more like like an underlying system upgrade, like in Ubuntu or Debian apt update would do. An apt upgrade would do. All right, sounds good, Kantoran. Yeah, I'll definitely upload it to YouTube at some point. But I'm also going to stop pretty soon. I'm already past the 10 minutes, but good to see you and take good care. And have a good meeting as well. All right. Yeah, an NixOS conf. I'm surprised about what this could be. And DRV is a derivation, right? So that's the package. I'm curious about what's in a conf package. The outputs is here. And what's in this output? How about that? These look like kernel flags, actually. Don't they? Maybe not. Hold on. Those are kind of low-level services on Linux, but I forget what they are. On the devices? I think they might be the basis for devices, maybe. I forget. I think let's go check it out. What is this? Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that either. Okay, I'm not clicking properly. That is probably the sign that I need to take a break. Take a break and come back in the next stream. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And what's going on with this? This might help. We can still see. Oh, well, this seems like it hasn't updated the chat. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that was a pretty bad sign off, but yeah, it's a driver. Yeah, of course, those are all drivers. So I feel like I know a little bit better. Those are modules. Those aren't drivers. Like this Nox update thing, I think this is really awesome. This really is going to help us figure out what we did with our previous config. And with that in hand, I think I will feel better equipped to try some of the things with the hardware. But I might, I might do some of that offline. But it's also possible that I just do it tomorrow evening, and then I'll just stream again. Although it might mean that the stream gets interrupted because I need to reboot. We shall see. But thanks a lot for watching, and I will sign off now and say thanks and see you next time.